last week, and we kind of foreshadowed our information as far as what sig figs are with those rulers. Okay, so let's say that you have a box here. Okay, and that box you need to measure for volume. Okay, and different ones of you have different measurement devices. One of you is in charge of measuring the length of the box with your ruler. One of you is in charge of measuring the height of the box with your ruler. And one of you is tasked with measuring the width of the box. If your ruler for length is only marked off as 0 and 30, and this one is marked off, this ruler is marked off 30 times, and this ruler is marked off 10, 20, 30. How accurate is your volume measurement going to be? Why? What's going to prevent you? You're going to have really good numbers with this guy right here, and pretty good numbers with this guy. What's going to prevent you from having good calculations? This one, the crappy ruler. Okay? So how does that factor into your calculations? How do you indicate that these aren't great answers to the volume question for this? That's where your sig figs calculations come into play. Okay? So, first of all, I want to take just a minute to go through and kind of dust off any weekend cobwebs that might have joined you. Okay? And I want to spend a minute and I want you to try to figure out how many sig figs there are in each of these numbers. Okay? So off to the side there, you have like the rules for significant. You got that big gap right there. Just take it. You've got just some blank space. You don't have to write the numbers down. Just go down the column. Go down this first column here and write down how many sig figs are in each of these numbers. So 1 through 6, go down the column, write down just on a, little corner of your paper, wherever you find a little spot. 1 through 6, and just write down how many there are. There's enough blank space on your chart or on your page there. Just take you a minute or two.
Where is this?
It's not anywhere. You're just finding a blank spot somewhere and writing down how many sig figs there are in each of these numbers, 1 through 6. I just added this in, that's all. I'm just dusting off cobwebs. That's all we're doing. And you know what's coming. I'm going to make you do these. So I'm just waiting for other people to get done. All right, first column. How many sig figs here? 6. All of these are significant because they're not zeros. And this one is significant. What makes it significant? That decimal. How many sig figs here? 2. Right here. These are not significant zeros because there is not a decimal. Significant. These zeros are significant. Why? They're hugged. Yep, they got a hug. These are because of the decimal point. So that's 5. That's 7 there. How many sig figs here? 5. Zeros at the beginning of a number are never significant. Sig figs here? 2. Not a decimal, so that 0 isn't. How many here? 3. Just these 3. This 0 becomes significant because of that decimal. All right. How many here?
4.
4.
6.
6.
4.
Okay, you two hush. How many here? Somebody else. Speak up. 3. This one is significant because of that decimal. How many here?
3.
There's a decimal here.
6.
6. So that decimal makes these 3 significant. How many here? That's a lot of numbers. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. That 0 is significant because of that decimal. How many here?
5.
5. Sandwiched decimal. How many here?
4. 3.
3. Zeros at the beginning of a number are never significant. Here?
6. 1. 3.
Easy enough? Remember that? All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is rounding. You guys have rounded before? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So just in a blank spot, wherever you can find free space, how do you round these numbers? You're rounding them to 3 significant digits. Now, I realize that this one's only 2, but you're going to figure out a way to round that to 3. How do you do that? I can't put a decimal here and make 3. I can't put a decimal here and make 3 because I would change that from 120,000 to 120. What else have I taught you in the past few weeks that you could use to get that to 3 sig figs? What did I teach you in sections 5.4 or 2.4? What was section 2.4 about?
Scientific notation.
Scientific notation, exactly. I can put this in scientific notation. And now I've got 3 sig figs. See what I did there? The only way you can get that number to 3 sig figs is to put it in scientific notation. So you're combining a couple things that the scientific notation with the significant figures now. All right, this guy, if we were to round him, what would happen to this 5?
Go to 6.
It would be a 6. So this would be 5.46. That's got me to 3 sig figs. How do we get 21 into scientific notation? Or into 3 sig figs? I gave it away. Well, there's 2 ways. We can do scientific notation, or...
I did rounding.
Yep, you can round, okay? So 0.000877, that's one way. Or you could go 8.77 times 10 to the minus 5. So both of those would be valid answers. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. I think you guys are pretty good with, let's do this one, 24. I think you can probably get 22 and 23. How will we do 24 here?
I'm not answering that question.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
It's the previous one.
Huh?
I thought it was negative. It was negative 4. 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There. Things look different at the board. Like when you come up here,
True.
it's a weird kind of, I don't know. But good catch. That means you understand scientific notation. So good job. All right, getting back to 24. What do we do for 24? How do we round that guy? Again, a couple different ways you can go about it.
Could you round the entire number into 876?
Well, would you like me to pay you $876 or $876,000?
Could you do 876 plus 493?
No. But you can do this. Or you could do see if I can get this right.
Okay.
So either one of those would be valid ways to get that rounded. Making sense? Now, I will preview something that if you get into college, there are some weird rounding rules when you have to round a 5 in college. But we don't do that in here, and we don't do it in AP. Just realize that that experience awaits you if you get deeper into scientific math. But I don't do it in here because it's weird and it's just too much. It's too much for all of our brains to try to deal with, especially on a Monday. All right. You ready? Yep. Calculations. This is your actual notes. So see if you can find your actual notes for this. The rules for multiplication and division for sig figs are different than the rules for addition and subtraction with sig figs. Okay, so I'm going to start with multiplication and division, and then I'll talk to you about the other two. All right, you understand that there's a connection between multiplication and division. They're just essentially the opposites of one another. Yes, so it makes sense that their rules would be the same. Okay, so when you are multiplying or dividing, what you have to do is you have to look at the two things that are going into your calculation, or 3 things, or 15, however many things you're multiplying or dividing. Okay? You have to figure out how many sig figs there are in those things. So here I have a 3 sig fig number times a 4 sig fig number. Yes? My answer can only be the least of those. So if I've got a 3 sig fig times a 4 sig fig, my answer can only be 3 sig figs. So whatever is the least amount of the things that I brought in there, that's what my answer is. Here I have a 4 sig fig divided by a 3 sig fig. My answer can only be 3 sig figs. Do that in your head? Can you do this in your head without a calculator?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I've got 100 divided by 2. What's the answer? 50. This is a 4 sig fig divided by a 2 sig fig. How many sig figs can be in my answer? 1. So I would write that out like that.
I'm still trying to make sense of this. I'm sorry.
Wouldn't the bottom be a 1 sig fig?
Yeah,
Yep.
You said 2.
2? Oh, because it's the number 2. It's like looking at something that's red and you have the word green written there and asking you what color it is. Okay, so 4 sig figs divided by 1 sig fig. My answer can only be 1 sig fig. I can't write this down and do that. That would be wrong. That would be 3 sig figs. 4 sig fig divided by 2. But divided by 1. Oh my God, I cannot do this. Ay, ay, ay.
I'm running on 5.5 hours of sleep. I feel you.
Yeah, well, I'm running on a complete night of sleep and I still am goofing stuff. Let's do answer.
6.0.
6.0. 3 sig fig times a 2 sig fig. How many have to be in my answer?
2.
2 sig figs. Now, if I did this, 3 sig fig times 1 sig fig, it would just be 6 for my answer. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is multiplication and division. Addition and subtraction, again, run by different rules. Addition and subtraction, you have to look at how many place values you have. And whatever the least place value it was that went into your calculation, that's what your answer has to be. So here I have this to the 10,000ths place. Here I have this to the hundredths place. I'm going to calculate it full out, but then I'm going to round. So this least place value is the hundredths place. My answer can only be to the hundredths place. Answer? 5.0. Okay. I can't. This is the 10th place, so my answer can only be to the 10th place.
Okay.
Now, when I do my calculation here, when I do this calculation, I'm going to have that in my calculator, but I'm only going to write that down. So I need to round, okay? Let's do this where we have that. Now what would I write down? 5.1. I'm rounding it to the least place value that was in my, whatever they call those things. The things that I add together. They have some fancy math term for it. I don't remember what it is. Every year I start this out and I'm like, I got to ask a math teacher what they call those things. I know the rules. I just don't know the fancy lingo. Okay. All right. So add this string of numbers together here. We do that on our calculator. I should do that one because I didn't write down everything. So 50.23, 2372, and 14.8743 equals. All right, my calculator is going to kick this back to me. 188.82632. I need to round that to what place value? Hundredths. Because this is the least that's at the hundredths level. So even though my calculator kicks this out to me, I'm going to write this down as that. Rules for multiplication and division are different than addition and subtraction. Multiplication and division, I have to try to figure out how many sig figs I have into the things that I'm multiplying. So how many do I have here? 5. How many do I have here?
3.
3. So my answer
Has to have 3.
has to have 3. Okay? So I multiply that out, and when I do, this is not right. 2.3877, 3.04. So this is my calculator's kicking back to me. That guy. What do I do? Did I? Yeah, I did that right. Yeah.
You round it to the
Okay.
hundredths place.
So 7.26.
26.
And that would be centimeters
Squared.
squared. Yep. This should have been grams up here too. Are there rulers on here? Did you guys end up with rulers on this sheet at all? Did I get rid of those? Okay, I must have gotten rid of that. Okay. All right, you have 2 we do assignments here. I must have pulled those out. Get enough sleep last night?
No.
You're not playing along? How'd you do on those?
Nothing.
Make sense? All right. Tomorrow, you're going to come in. You're going to have the rest of this assignment done, which is 2-7 today. Yeah, 2-7's due tomorrow. And then we're doing a little lab, okay, where you're measuring stuff. It is going to be a frustrating lab for most of you, okay? You will need to erase and erase and erase. So you're going to bring it up to me. I'm going to check it. I'm going to send you back. You're going to bring it up to me. You're going to erase it. So it's going to be a little bit frustrating, but you'll get through it, okay? I would strongly suggest that you bring in a good pencil and a good eraser, okay? In all my years of teaching and doing this Sig Fig lab, I've never had one person get it 100% on the first try, okay? So that is your goal. That's what you want to do. But most of you will not, and that's okay. This is how you learn. And I kick you back and I'm like, go back and fix that one and go back and fix that one. And we just keep exchanging until you get a perfect paper. Fair enough? Okay. So yes, Ray.
Never mind. I'll ask later.
All right. So that is what we're doing as far as kind of today. You're going to finish this activity up. You should have enough time to get that finished up for homework. And then